The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
Welcome to Forever Fab, the podcast dedicated to fashion, the art of living well, and all things beauty. I'm your host, Dr. Shirley Madhere, your purveyor of this most definitive source of living your most beautiful life. And today, we are going to embody spontaneity. Yes, and my guest is Mr. James Benard, creative guru master, and who happens to be my next door neighbor. And James saved me today, but we'll talk about that later. But I just wanted to thank you for being spontaneous. Thank you for your presence.
No problem.
And thank you for keeping it real with me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you're most
Pleasure
welcome.
to be here.
Well,
Pleasure to see you.
Well, thank you. You're so good. Today's topic is not really spontaneity. It's just going to be wellness and beauty and attractiveness and the physiology of attraction. But we're going to keep it real from a male's perspective. So I'm
Nice.
just going to ask lots of questions. And James, if you'll do me the honor, tell me who you are, what you do in this
Sure.
world.
James Benard. The company is Benard Creative.
Yes, you are creative.
And it's basically a company that I just invented where I wanted to have a good time, do what I want to do, and be creative. There's no roadmap for it. There aren't really other companies like it.
Okay.
But I'm busy, I'm successful, that's in quotes, and I'm happy.
Most importantly.
And I'm working with many of the greatest luxury brands in the world.
Tell me a little bit more about the luxury brands. What exactly do you do? How are you creative for them and with them?
I'm sure you know Madhere.
No.
I did Madhere's packaging a few years.
Where are my samples?
I used to get a lot of those.
You used to.
But I did the packaging for them.
Beautiful.
Many of the brands you see walking down Fifth or Madison Avenue, those are my clients.
Of course.
Doing photography, advertising, brand films, packaging. It's a fun job.
Yeah, sounds it.
Yeah, it's and because it's a company of my own creation, I managed to dictate terms where I don't get too stressed out by it.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's nice.
Good for you. So would you say that is one of the advantages of just being your own boss, minimizing your stress? Or does being your own boss come with a lot more stress that being an employee does not?
I think ultimately, I've always tried to design my life. I'm dyslexic, and I would say, not poorly in school, but school was never for me. Like, I could never do a crossword puzzle, let's say, because it's just somebody else's puzzle and I don't care about it. I'd rather find my own road and do my own thing.
Okay.
And a lot of creative people are that way. Yeah. So going into my own company allowed me to dictate the terms which I'll work under and who I'll work for and what I'll do.
Yeah.
Working for a company, I think, is very difficult because you sort of put in a box. And you can perform within that box, but it's very hard to get out of that box. Where if I have an idea, I can comp it up and go into a company and show it to them. And very often they think, oh, awesome, let's do it. So I have seen, billboards on Houston Street where it's like, that's an idea
work
that I came up with that's up on the wall.
Well, congrats. You'll have to let us know what those are more specifically later so I can figure them out. But just to let you know that when my product line comes out,
Oh, baby, I'm there.
Okay.
I'm all over it.
You said it in front of 10 million listeners.
Don't worry. You got that.
Okay,
And
thank you.
anytime my little spot of skin cancer pops up on my cheek, you can
Cancel,
take care of
you
that.
do not have skin cancer, and you
No,
have,
but
you do not.
truthfully, I knock on your door.
Yes.
And say, I have a spot on my cheek, and you don't say, here's a bill. You say, let me look at that for you. And it's a beautiful way to be. I really appreciate that.
I appreciate our friendship.
Yep. I've never thanked you for that, but it's beautiful. Beautiful. And I actually love to hear you laugh through the wall.
Oh my God.
Like when you're really
that means I must be laughing really loudly.
It just means
I have a hearty laugh.
It just means you're enjoying life.
Yes.
And when Kevin and I hear it, we look at each other and we both laugh.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, there goes
man.
Shirley.
All right, I'll try to tone it down next time.
No, honestly, don't. It's welcomed.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So it sounds as if you are very passionate about what you do and how you do it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you think that there's purpose in this passion?
Definitely. I think or I'll speak for myself, I create my own purpose. So I'm very much a believer in having a regimen, taking myself seriously, showing up to work every day, creating a space for myself where this is what I do it in this space, I do it consistently.
And you have a really mellow, chill space.
Yeah, it's
every
pretty
time
dark.
I walk into it does the shift. It's like...
Yeah, it's like a living room.
Yeah,
it's
like a living room.
It's got that mood lighting. And
yes, it does.
Lots of times there's essential oils blowing. So, yeah, I do try and create an aesthetic atmosphere that's conducive to, I'll say, healthy work, not stressed out work, work that I'm pleased with, not work that is even really for a client. Yeah. Like so often clients are secondary. I'm really doing what I believe in and what I think. Ultimately, somebody has to buy it and they have to like it.
Of course. We all have bills to pay.
For sure. But I really aim for my own satisfaction.
I can understand that because I know the work that I do for my patients is truly for my patients. But in large part, I'm thinking, well, I have to love it too, even though it isn't necessarily my aesthetic, but I have to love it too. Because if I love it and if I'm proud of the work that I'm doing, I think there's that energy that goes into the work that hopefully your client and my patient, they feel even better about the work.
And I would think that walking in the door, just the soothing, your, let's say, bedside demeanor influences decisions that people make.
I hope so.
I would think that if someone were to come in wanting to do something that you didn't feel good about, you would advise, or maybe that's not the right word, steer them toward an aesthetic choice that you would be pleased with.
There's definitely quite a bit of navigating that goes on during the consultation.
I'm sure.
But ultimately it is my purpose to serve and just to hopefully serve on a very elevated level where, both the patient and I can feel very comfortable about the work that we are doing together.
Correct. I never thought of you as a creative director.
Well, hello, excuse me.
Absolutely you
Totally, I'm a creative. I just happen to use a scalpel and needles, but I'm a creative.
It's funny too because I think of you as, then it almost makes you a behind the scenes creative director where your work isn't out for public display, but oh my God, it is.
Yeah.
It's sort of the first thing people see when
very much so.
Very interesting.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, I'm glad you see that we have much more in common.
Yeah, that's
than
a little
just
bit
laughing through the wall. I want to pick up on the essential oils.
Sure.
Right. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about wellness. Like you're a guy, and you're a creative guy. So you're chill, you're laid back. You like thinking in the ether. And up there in the clouds. But then you come down and you get real and you do some work. But talk to me about why, if you think that there's a difference between health and wellness, and whichever one of those fits into your life.
I would say that health is a product of wellness, where wellness is a state of mind, where health is maybe the functioning of your body. Cool. And I think that wellness is such a big word these days.
Yes.
It's sort of the idea of you take a yoga class and then you step off the mat and your life begins. And do you bring wellness into all aspects of your life?
Yeah,
and
like,
there's such a big conversation around it. My girlfriend is Elena Brower, who's a world-renowned, yoga instructor, even though she doesn't do that much of it anymore. As well as
and her.
As well as a meditation teacher. So I'm really steeped in it. Like I have a behind the curtain Wizard of Oz sort of view of it all, where I'm really on the inside of a lot of the wellness and people who come into my, I get a lot of people passing through my apartment who are very high level in the wellness field.
Well, feel free to recommend any of those people for an interview on this fabulous podcast.
Oh, for sure. All right. Well, let's think about that.
Let's just do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, great.
But as for wellness, I have a yoga practice. I just rejoined a gym. I was a fitness fanatic, but it wasn't healthy.
Why do you say that? Because you were doing it too much? Was it so high intensity all day, every day?
At the time, I'll just be vulnerable and honest.
Yeah, please.
I used to, I drank a lot at the time. My self-esteem was low, and it was a way for me to feel better about myself, which was kind of a cover-up. So I was working out a lot, and I was becoming what I considered to be aesthetically perfect.
Interesting.
But I was working from an attitude of lack, where I didn't feel fully presentable. So the drinking definitely too was a little bit of hiding. And I was trying to create something that was perfect so that I would
from
feel
the outside.
So that I would feel presentable. And ultimately,
so you feel good enough.
Yeah. And ultimately, after I met the woman that I really wanted,
yes,
and had that in my life, I realized that the gym was kind of a cover-up, that I had a negative relationship with all of my fitness. So I dropped it for, I guess, 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And I just now picked it up with a healthy attitude of, I can step into this, own it. It's good for me. It's what I need to do. It's what I want to do. And I'm not a slave to it.
And the association with the gym is not as heavy as the weights that perhaps you'd be picking up.
Right.
You like that?
Right.
Okay.
I do like that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think you're not alone. And particularly with my practice as a plastic surgeon, I very much interact with the sentiment and the experience of not enoughness, and not just myself. That was my own journey, but even with the patients who come to see me, sometimes I have to listen very carefully to what is being asked of me, because sometimes the changes that I'm being asked to help people with won't really help with that sense of feeling as if the person is enough, and that there's only so much I can do physically. And that's one of the reasons why I adopted a holistic approach to my practice, because I realized that changes in the body are so much deeper than that, and that what's happening on the inside certainly reflects on the outside, and what happens on the inside definitely affects what's on the outside. Right? So so it's a very holistic approach, and you're not alone. I think both men and women and lots of people have that sentiment, and everyone chooses their mechanism, whether it's, the gym, whether it's, too much filler in their lips, or whether it's, going vegan or just not eating well. Then I think everyone manifests their issues differently.
For sure. And I think there are a lot of instances where there's always the question of why change. Like, is there something, what's wrong? Like, do I feel like something's wrong with me, or am I changing a unique characteristic that maybe shouldn't be changed? Like, I have to think of Cher, for example, who, when she was a kid and she had that big honking nose, so sexy. No, really, so beautiful.
Really? Okay.
Oh my God. No, you know what it was? Like, there was something about her that was, this is going to sound strange, she was embarrassed of it, and there was something about it that you almost felt like she was half dressed because she was exposed in a way that she didn't want to be exposed.
So it's that vulnerability.
And there was something about the unique characteristic to her nose, almost like Barbra Streisand, where it was so beautiful because nobody had it.
Right.
And I really wish she hadn't changed it. But I know, I don't know if anybody remembers Sunny, but Sunny always made fun of her. That was her mate. And that was negative. Like, I would love to have seen her keep that and wear it proudly, because she looked like a peacock, and she lost some of her plumage.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But she's still Cher.
Yeah, she is still Cher. She still has that voice, that persona. She is killing it right now. I mean, Miss Cher is hot.
Oh, she's
and
awesome.
So super sexy. So,
oh my God,
I have to pick up on that. I totally respect what you're saying, but again, in my line of work, I very much advocate for men and women to do whatever it is they feel
I agree.
It takes
Sorry,
for them
that
to
was,
feel amazing.
That was the second half
With
of
no
my point.
judgment.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't make it. Sorry. The other part was if somebody doesn't feel good about themselves and they're being held back by a physical attribute, by all means change
Right.
it.
Go for it.
So even though I'm not happy about it, Cher's happy about it.
That's right.
And if she goes on to be a better Cher because of it,
Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not I'm not her man.
That's
It's not my business.
Do you want to be her man? You can tell us.
Come on, of course. Who wouldn't want it? I'll take her at 70. Are you kidding me?
Right? She's amazing.
No, she's hot.
Yeah, amazing. Cher, feel free to come on to this podcast and express your views anytime.
Or
Thank
stop
you.
by room 203.
She's not going to stop by your office. So let's talk some more about that. Okay, sexy, sassy, confidence. What, from your perspective, a
Yeah.
male perspective, what do you personally consider sexy?
Wow. I am by no means, let's say, normal in the sense that I don't always, I'm a marketer and I don't always buy what's being sold.
Okay.
So I don't own a TV set. I have
At all? Never?
no TV. Like I'm
Okay.
very careful about what imagery I take in, and I try not to allow myself to be polluted by food, media, so many things.
Yeah.
Because I keep my internal space very clean, and I don't
And you
want...
protect it.
I do.
And you protect your space and your energy.
And one of the things that I know a lot about is the manipulation of the female figure through advertising. And I see the people I work with a lot of the modeling agencies doing actually creative for them.
Okay.
And I see a lot of I don't know how to say this nicely. I see a lot of the people who are driving the aesthetic, and I don't feel that they celebrate or really love women.
So are you implying that there's a hint of misogyny?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that the skinny, tortured aesthetic that's pushed is not necessarily in the celebration of women. And one of the things that, I go to the museum. I go to the museum every week. I live
You do?
across the street from the Met.
Is that your favorite?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm there literally
Fantastic.
every week. And the aesthetic that's been driven into my head since I was a kid, I've always loved paintings, is a much fuller figure.
Rubenesque kind of figure?
Yeah, definitely.
Really?
Definitely.
Okay.
And I find the curve of a woman or the... I don't want a woman who looks like she could outrun me, you know?
And what if she could? What if she could? There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm just saying, like, there's something nice about, there's a woman, I like a woman to be a woman, you know, to have a little
okay.
bit, to have some curve to her.
So physically, you're saying?
Yeah, physically, for sure.
Okay.
In terms of personality, I love some spark. I love some spunk. I love somebody who can hold their own.
Right.
Maybe it's not always what's best for me, but I do like a powerful woman.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I think my aesthetics have been very influenced by paintings, particularly the European paintings.
The European masters.
Yeah,
Okay.
18th, 19th century. So,
Okay.
yeah, I would swing toward an aesthetic that's particularly out of favor right now.
Okay. Well, you and I are going to go to the museum together, and
All
I'm going
right.
to introduce you to some African art.
Awesome. I spend a lot of time over there too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's continue on with wellness. So talking about aesthetic, do you have a routine, a skincare routine?
Yeah, my girlfriend actually makes me a private blend of night
membership
oil.
sure has its privileges.
Yeah, that's it. So
Private blend, customized skincare.
there's blue tansy, lemon, I think some grapefruit in it. I forgot what the carrier oil is. I don't think it's coconut oil.
Jojoba, sesame, jojoba.
It could be jojoba.
Ding, 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 ding.
I think it is actually.
Hello. Well, your skin looks great.
Oh, thanks. Well, thank you. And also I've been, now that I'm going to the gym, I've been hitting the steam room. So that also helps.
Yeah? Do you think it helps open pores? What do you think it does for you?
Definitely. It, it calms me down, mellows me out, centers me, allows me to breathe deeply, detoxify.
Yeah.
Your skin's your biggest organ.
Agreed.
And if you're sweating, you're cleaning.
Yeah. Good for you.
Drinking a lot of water.
Oh, I was going to say not drinking, right?
Yeah. Drinking a lot of
water. Yeah.
I quit drinking, so.
I tell my patients they should drink minimum 1.5 to 2 liters of pure water a day. Do you do the same?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a Kanga filter. which is like reverse osmosis.
So you get rid of all the crap in
all the
New
crap.
York City, all the antidepressants in the New York
Yeah,
City water.
exactly.
You sure you don't want to keep them? Okay, that's fantastic. Tell me about your latest project or something that you're excited about that you're working on.
Oh my gosh. Working with a new brand of rosé wine that a friend of mine is
Feel
launching.
free to drop off samples.
Oh, for sure. Actually, a good idea. But it's a guy who was very high up at Moet Hennessy. We're launching a new brand. And
Okay. Is he still with LVMH?
No,
or
he's
Moet
not.
Hennessy? Oh,
he's not. So he quit. He's doing his own thing. African-American team on it, actually.
Really?
And they're keeping that strangely behind the scenes. I'm going to influence that later on. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
I'm building the wine is from Provence. And I'm building a city of Provence about 1 foot by 1.5 feet with the bell tower, and then I'm going to put the bottle in there and photograph it. The whole
That's
thing
fantastic.
it's going to be it's a lot of work.
I'm sure it is, but it
it's-
sounds really
it's
fun
gonna-
and amazing and different and
it's-
out of the box and right up your alley.
It's going to be next level.
Yeah,
And
hashtag next level. I
it's
love
one
it.
of these passion projects, though, where I'll get paid a lot for it, but I could never be paid as many hours as it's just not.
That's right. It's
yeah,
just,
yeah, it's just
it's
and
like infinite hours, but when it goes well, infinite joy and
totally.
right?
And also, he's
pride.
a close friend of mine,
Okay.
and it's kind of like when you
Yeah.
bang on the wall, like, "Hey, get over here!" Like,
Yeah.
I got to show up for this guy.
Yes, thank you. Well, thank you for allowing me to bang on your door.
Anytime.
For coming over.
Anytime.
And doing a little
Anytime.
impromptu podcast. But this was fantastic. I always had it in mind, to do a couple of podcasts from a male's perspective. And lo and behold, here you are. So my last question for you,
I'm ready.
Mr. James Benard. Please tell
Hit
me
me.
your F.A.B.
And
Your
Fab Five
Fab
are
5 fabulous ways to live your most beautiful life.
I'd say number one is be yourself.
I like.
And that's been hard for me. Like, I always worried about like wearing a necklace or, can I pull that off? Or like, am I cool enough to do it? It's like, come on.
What do you
Just
mean
go.
wearing a necklace?
I
Were
don't
you
know, like,
vacillating,
I never-
with
I
gender
would never
choices?
wear- I would
You're
never-
wearing beads.
Yeah, but I would
But
never
that's a
do that
spiritual
before.
thing. Okay.
I just didn't have the self-confidence to say, this is what I want to do. Like, I have to blend in.
Okay.
So yeah, be yourself. What other people think of you is none of your business. Just do what you want to do.
Just do you.
Do you. And if it resonates, great. And if it doesn't, cool.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good too. That's fine too.
Yeah, you're not going to
Yeah.
fit every shoe. Like, let it go.
That's true.
Move on.
I like that shoe metaphor. Thank you. I like that. All right. What's your number 2?
What are you going to live out of? Are you going to live out of love or are you going to live out of fear? And I think so many, like, it's just a
So you're
choice.
saying choose love over fear.
I feel so many people, like, they go through life and they don't even realize it, but it's very binary. They're choosing one or the other. They're caught in the past. They're caught in fear. They're afraid of this. Or choosing through love is such a beautiful way to operate. Like, I've found that I can really split my life into those two decisions.
Okay.
Am I living by fear or am I living by love?
And if the answer is, this sounds as if I'm doing it because of fear or out of fear, then you don't do it? Or you shift?
Find a way to move out of that, because it's a headset and it's a trap. Of course, there's so many things in life you have to know when to move them on. Like, is somebody who's challenging to you? Do you are they a great teacher to you? Like, are they providing a lesson, or are they hurting you? So knowing where the line is exactly.
Yeah.
When is something beneficial, like there's actually a lesson in this, and when is this just got to stop and got to go?
So you're saying pain can be beneficial?
It can be, but I do really find that it's hard to quantify it in a short amount of time, like how you can really choose between fear and love.
Yep.
And choosing from your heart.
Yes.
Maybe another way to say it is, are you working from your heart space or are you working from your brain?
Yeah.
And I try and work from my heart space.
Okay.
When I enter a room or when I meet with somebody,
Yeah.
I really try and connect with them with my body.
Okay.
Not necessarily think about the most clever thing to say,
Right.
or to
We're trying to, assess them and size them up.
right,
Okay.
or somehow
That's very
be
difficult to do.
very hard.
Yeah.
Or to somehow be manipulative. I find that a lot of times I try and control people's thoughts, or I try and make them behave in a way that makes me comfortable.
Got it.
Where I just want to show up now and be open.
Yes.
Greet you with my heart. If you
And
take
deal
it,
with whatever
great.
comes.
And if not, cool.
Okay.
Good.
I like that.
Number 3, I'd say
Yeah.
physical practice. Have a
What do you
have
mean
some,
by that? Exercise?
have something that you do. Have a place that you go. I would even call my work a physical practice. I show up every day.
Yep.
I'm there for a certain amount of time.
Yes.
I take it seriously.
It's a discipline.
It's a discipline, exactly. Also, sure, the gym. You don't go anywhere without a body.
This is
so you got to have that in order. Like
Yes.
it really does. I wouldn't call it priority 1. I think that your spirit comes first, but I'd call it priority 2.
Okay.
Like you have to have your house in order.
Yes. Like I like to say, honor your temple.
Nice.
You like that?
Totally.
I'll let you borrow it anytime. Elena could use it too, but
I'm gonna.
we might have to have, like a agreement.
I'll tack it on the wall over there.
Thank you.
Take yourself seriously would be my 4th one.
But some people say that it's not great to take yourself too seriously. So what exactly do you mean by take yourself seriously?
Don't let your dreams pass you by because you're afraid to pursue them.
I like that.
Believe that you have a point of view. Believe that it's worth hearing, and believe that you can make a difference.
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah, I like that. I
Okay.
like how that. I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, great. Number 5.
Take risks.
Interesting.
Take risks.
I rarely hear that.
Yep. I really believe in risks. I've taken so many big risks.
And what percentage would you say did not work out versus the ones that did and you learned from and grew and evolved?
I would say they have, I don't want to say all worked out, but I can't think of one that hasn't. Even some of the difficulties in my personal life.
So even when those things blew up for you?
There's such lessons in them. Like I think of the hardest things I've dealt with personally have opened my heart up to so much compassion and so many looking at things from another point of view or questioning myself or doing things differently. Yeah, I would say taking risks is huge. In all respects, yeah, take them in business, take them personally. I just did one with a client.
And what was that risk?
He was talking about how he was having an argument with his wife. And so we went through the argument and I said, let me show you how to argue. Like, let me just give you a couple.
Is there an art to arguing?
I think there really is.
Okay, I'm going to come over and you're going to teach that to me.
Which is a clearing. And what I told him was there was a time when we were working together at a company.
Yes.
There was a shot that needed to be reshot. I did everything correctly on
Yes.
it. It was a $10,000 reshoot.
Yes.
He said to me, he was working for an unrealistic boss.
Yes.
And he said to me, this is screwed up. You need to fix it.
Oh.
And so I did it and I ate it. It was 10 grand. It's like,
Okay.
it's a huge project, whatever. But I ate the 10 grand.
Okay.
I said to him, here's how you argue. And I laid out for him that when he did that, it made me feel like he was placing the blame on me rather than saying, I'm working for an unrealistic boss. I need a favor here.
Yeah.
Can you get this done?
Yes.
We'll figure it out down the road.
Got it.
Rather than placing blame on me.
Got it.
And so, but the way that you argue, sorry, I kind of lost track of where we are.
No
taking
worries.
risks.
Yes.
Is I say everything that if I'm unhappy with you,
Yes.
I say everything that I'm thinking and
Impossible, by the
feeling.
way.
Yeah, impossible. Everything that I'm thinking or feeling.
Yes.
You listen to it.
Yes.
And then you give it back to me. And you say, this is what I heard.
Or
And-
is this what you mean?
Right. This is
Okay.
what I heard. And then I might say, hey, you got some of that wrong. Like,
Okay.
actually, what I meant was, and then I make you give it back to me.
Got it.
And then after you do that, you tell your side of the story. But the idea is you have clear lines of communication
I
because
see.
there's no misunderstanding.
And you're not assuming that one person meant one thing when in fact they had nothing to do
Exactly.
with that.
So
Okay.
if you laughed and I banged on the wall,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you'd walk down the hall, you'd be pissed off at me.
Yeah, why are you
but
banging on my
why are you
door?
banging on my wall?
Yeah.
But I could say, it could, and if you brought it up,
Yes.
we would have a clearing, and it would turn out that actually we were moving something. It hit the
Yes.
wall at the exact time, and
Right.
or I had somebody in there, and we were
Right.
doing an interview, or
Yes.
whatever it is. But
Exactly.
it allows for clear lines of communication so that both sides of the street are clear.
And then by the time we get through this process of how did you hear that? What did you say? Did you mean that? I completely forgot what I was arguing with you
Or
about.
at the end of it, or you wind up with, I really love this person.
Yeah.
And at the bottom of it all, it's always a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And at the bottom of it, hopefully there's love, not fear.
That's right. Hopefully, yes.
And it's all good. But
It's all great.
I do like those tough conversations. I have them whenever I can.
Really?
Yep.
You're an instigator, a fire starter.
I'm more of a fire extinguisher.
Oh, okay.
Because if you let things smolder,
Yes.
they
Faster.
sprout up
Yeah.
in ways that you don't expect.
This is true.
Or you didn't shut the dishwasher. It hit my shit. You know, it's like you're mad about something that happened 2 weeks ago. And it's like, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Right.
Just, yeah.
It
so
just continues to grow. Yeah.
I do like that. Telling the truth.
Yeah. That's number 6. That's your bonus.
Be truthful. That
Yeah.
comes with, taking risks in the difficult conversations.
Because you're right. Sometimes telling the truth is a risk.
Yeah.
But to your point, it always works out for the best when you do.
If people can handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
That's right. Some people, and sometimes they just can't handle the
Yeah.
truth. And that's another time you just got to cut bait and move on.
Cut bait and move on. Okay, that's a fishing term.
That is. And maybe that's where we're at
And
in our
maybe that's where we're at.
conversation.
That's it. I put the bait out. Boom. You came in. Thank you so much, James.
My pleasure.
I really
So nice speaking with
appreciate
you.
doing this for us.
And of all the neighbors I could have, like, wow.
I know, right?
I lucked
I'm
out.
not so bad.
And you know, this whole floor has gotten really good.
Has it?
I mean, look at who's here. It's such a
don't even
nice
know
group
who's
of people.
here.
We got Global Citizen. They're
Yeah.
they're changing the world.
They are changing the world.
got an
They are making
awesome-
global citizens.
Totally awesome design firm up front. Like this
that's
floor
who they
was
are,
janky
design? Oh.
before you came in here, and it's like little by little we're changing it.
Good job. I think they're following us, right?
We
We're the influencers.
We got a good
We
neighborhood.
got a good hood.
All right.
Thank you, James.
Loves you, Shirley.
I love you too. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Forever Fab. And until next time, stay beautiful inside and out.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty, curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD. Live beautifully and help make the world a more beautiful place.